Hello Stampers, Jackie Bolhuis from Klompen Stampers. Today I have a fun card to share with you today where we are going to use up some of our scraps of cardstock. I don't know about you, but I tend to get like all these little pieces of all these different colors and I save them for a while and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm never going to use all these pieces, so I go through and I kind of toss a bunch of them. Well, I was cleaning out my cardstock the other day and I had a ton of pieces and I'm like, what can we do with them rather than throwing them away? And I've been sharing a lot of different cards with you using up scraps of designer series paper. I thought, well, let's use up scraps of cardstock. So that's what we're going to do today on this fun card that I have to share with you. We are also going to talk about embossing folders. It seems like I get asked all the time how to make a sandwich, as we like to call it, through the different cutting and embossing machines. Now I have to be totally honest, I only have ever in my life used the Big Shot that Stampin' Up used to carry. So I'm going to show you how to make the sandwiches in the Big Shot. Now if you have a different die cutting machine, you're going to have to kind of figure out what your sandwiches are, and maybe by watching how I do it with the Big Shot, it might help you with your particular machine. Now, I also want to share with you, and I'm sure you've probably heard the buzz already, Stampin' Up finally is coming out with their own die cutting machine. Yay! Now it's going to be shown in the new catalog that starts June 3rd, but it's not going to be available quite yet. We don't have the date. They say soon after the catalog launches, so we got to sit tight for a little bit longer, but I've seen pictures of it. It's nice and compact. It looks amazing. And they actually have two of them. They have the normal size and then they have a mini, which is going to be perfect if you're going to crops or going places or you work in kind of a tight little spot. So stay tuned for more information on that. But I just felt like I needed to share it since I was going to be talking about the Big Shot. So without further ado, let's go ahead, flip the camera down. Oh wait, one other thing. By now, you should have gotten your brand new Stampin' Up catalog. If you have not and you do not have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can hop on over to my website and you can request a catalog over there. Oh my gosh, the new catalog is amazing. So hop on over there. I'll have a link right down there in the video description, right below where you're watching me. There'll be a link to take you over to the website to do that. As while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and so you don't miss any of the fun videos I bring to you. I can't wait to start sharing all the new products. I've been stamping like crazy, so gotta hang tight for a little bit longer on that. But let's get to our use up our scrap cardstock card. So I decided for this project, I was just going to use a bunch of scraps of green. So we've got Granny Apple Green, Garden Green, oh gosh, Old Olive, can't remember, Mossy Meadow, and Pear Pizzazz. Now for what we're doing, it really doesn't matter what colors you have. I just thought, oh, a bunch of greens would look good together. So I need to grab my craft sheet. Hold on a sec. The silicone craft sheet is one of my favorite little tools in my stamp room. I use it if I'm going to have adhesive run off the edges. It kind of protects our paper here. And it works great with the snail. Now I know Stampin' Up's not carrying snail anymore, but I still have a stash of it, but any adhesive will work for what we're doing. But what I want to do is we are going to run our snail right along the edges here, and then I am going to do it several times. And I know some of you might be like cringing, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just used that much snail. And normally I use the multi-purpose liquid adhesive, which we will use to put the card together. But for what I'm doing right here to use up these scraps, the snail worked the easiest. And by having this down here, and I don't think I ran off, a little bit there. That way, if it runs off, it doesn't get on your paper. Okay, so let's stick that there. Then I'm gonna, okay, so stick to my fingers. Oh, my little strips here are just 1/2-inch strips. So what I'm gonna do, I think it was easiest to start it this way. I'm gonna start with the first one and I'm gonna run it right along the edge there. And it doesn't matter what order. I think I'm just gonna go in the order I have them sitting here. And as I put these down, I want to make sure I have them really tight and close. So butt it right up to that other one and rub it down. And then we'll just kind of keep moving. I think this card would be fun, like in reds or pinks or yellows, or you could do rainbow. Was it Roy G. Biv? Colors. But anyhow, any scraps, just, and you know, these are 1/2-inch. You could have varied sizes if you wanted to, if you didn't want them all the same size. really doesn't matter. There's like no right or wrong way. This would also be an excellent design to use up some scraps of your designer series paper. Now, remember, the catalog is going to be done here real soon, our 2019-2020. So if there's any of the in colors that are retiring, I think stuff's still available. I'm not sure what's all been sold out. And designer series paper that you really want, make sure you grab it soon. So we've just kind of got this mess of all these pieces on there. Now what I'm going to do, we got extras, is I'm going to take my Stitch So Sweetly dies. Okay, here's the whole set of them. And the largest of the scallop one. And I am going to go ahead and I am going to go over to my Big Shot and I am going to cut this out. So I will be right back. Okay, there we go. So you can see my fun little background piece that I made. This here, I mean, we could do other things with this or just trash that. But now we're going to go ahead and use this piece on a fun card. Now, I promised you we were going to talk about embossing folders. So for one of the layers on my card, we are going to take just a piece of Whisper White that is 4 by 5 1/4. Don't worry about these measurements. Over on my blog, I will have a list of everything I used along with the card recipe that lists the exact cutting measurements for everything. But I'm going to emboss this using a brand new embossing folder. Now, this won't be available until June 3rd, but I think it has become my new favorite for just having texture. And honestly, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's texture or textiles or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and put our piece of Whisper White in there. I can't wait till you see the print that this leaves. Now, this is considered a 3D embossing folder, which is what Stampin' Up calls their thicker embossing folders. Now let me grab the other ones. I had them all sitting here and then I moved them out of the way. So really there's 3 different kinds of embossing folders you're going to encounter from Stampin' Up. The old ones that were called dynamic ones. Now these have been gone for about a year, but these were super thick and they've been replaced by the 3D ones. And I don't know if you can tell, you can definitely feel the difference. And then there's what's just the regular embossing folders. These are really thin. So there's 3 different thicknesses if you can see them. Now the regular ones, and we don't even have that many of these anymore. When you emboss with this, you are going to put your cardstock in. You're going to put it between 2 cutting plates and then onto your Big Shot platform. Now, if you don't have the platform it doesn't have the flippy things, some of you might still have the old platform. This one, whenever you're using the embossing folders, you want to move those tabs. So you're going to just use the platform. So that's how we would go on that one. Now, they then came out with these dynamic ones that I just shared with you. So many parts and pieces here. Let's see. Okay, the dynamic ones, which you can feel them. They're super thick. When you use these, you're going to put your cardstock in there. You put it on your platform or your other one with no tabs, and then you just use 1 plate. Okay, so the big difference here, 1 plate instead of 2 plates with this one. Now, like I said, they don't sell these anymore, but you might have some of them, and you can feel super thick. Now, the majority of the embossing folders, especially all the newer ones that Stampin' Up is coming out with, are what they call 3D. So they're a little bit thicker, and with these, you're going to put them directly on your Big Shot platform, but then you're going to want to use the blue embossing folder plate, and just one of them. So this plate is thicker than the white, but it's thinner than using 2 of the clear ones together. I call it white, clear, you know what I mean. So that is going to be our sandwich for the majority of the embossing folders. Now, when we get that new die cutting machine, I'll spend lots of time going through all the sandwiches with that, but I know a lot of you do have the Big Shot. So if you have the Big Shot and you have not already gotten the blue plate, the embossing plate, make sure you add that to your next order. And since we're not cutting with it, this thing's never ever going to wear out, but you can use it with your platform for embossing. So all of that to say, I'm going to run over to my Big Shot and I'll be right back. Okay, wait till you see this one. And I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up very good or not, but can you see the texture? I love it. When I got some of my new products and I started playing, I thought, ooh, if I did not do that, I thought it looked kind of plain and boring. So, you know, I still like that subtles one. I use that a lot, but this might replace my subtles. Okay, liquid adhesive, my favorite. We're gonna go ahead and just layer that onto the piece of Whisper White for my card base. So we've got that. And then this is gonna go on here, but we need some stamped images. So let's grab our Daisy Lane stamp set. I love that there's 2 different size daisies in there. And what I'm gonna do is I just have scrap paper here, and we're going to stamp, let's see, let's do 2 of the big, and then we're gonna do 1, 2, I think I need 4 of these actually. So good thing I threw a bunch of scrap paper here. So there's that. And then we have 2 different daisy punches, the big one and the small one. So we are gonna go ahead and we will punch out all of these. Okay, now when I do the daisies, I think they look kind of scarce when you just use the one like that. So what I like to do is just use 2 and double them up. So I put a little dab of adhesive on that bottom one, and then we can spin that around so that top petals all get in between. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing with these little ones. So we'll put a little dot on there, and it just makes it look like a much fuller flower, I guess. There's that one, and then let's do this one. And we'll put that on top. So we have 1 large and 2 small. So then let's set them aside, and let's go back to our scrap here, and we'll take one of our greetings that is in the stamp set. The best moments in my life happen with you. And we'll just go on scrap paper, and then I'm gonna use a circle punch. I use a lot of circle punches. This is a 1 3/8. I don't know if Stampin' Up even sells that one, but any circle punch will do, or a circle die, whatever you have. And so we'll go ahead and stick that, and then linen thread. You know, I'm starting to feel that this has become my my signature move, shall we say, on my cards. I love using linen thread, so I'm going to make sure I get it plenty long, and then I'm going to double it and chop it off there, and we're going to just wrap it around our fun little layer. And like I said, I use a lot of linen thread, and I think it's because it's pretty easy to tie. I can't tie ribbon very well, and it's nice and flat. So this does not affect your being able to mail it. So we'll just kind of fix that bow a little bit, pull the ends until you get them to the size you want them, and snug them up. And then we'll just take, it's kind of curly when it comes off that the roll, but I kind of like that. It doesn't lay so flat. So there is our, let's see, we got to get it in, kind of goes into those scallops. There we go. And then let's go ahead and we'll just simply put our card together. So we'll put 1 daisy down first, and we put that one flat, and then we'll take a dimensional. Got to get some dimension going here. You know me, can't make a card without dimensionals. So we'll put dimensionals on that one, and then let's put dimensionals on this one. Let's peel those off. Let's see, we'll stick that right there. And then our circle, we'll go ahead and we'll put dimensionals on that one as well. And oh, they're sticking to my fingers there. Pieces everywhere. And let's see, we'll just kind of plop that in there like so. And then all we're gonna do now is put this onto our card base. So let's use dimensionals for that as well. So remember, this little idea that I really started out sharing with you was all about how to use up some of those scraps of your cardstock. And you know, you could use any die or punch to cut out your layer, or for that matter, you could just cut your layer. You put them on there and then trim it down to the size you want it. But I thought the scallops looked pretty sweet on there. Then we'll go ahead and stick that like so. And then I like to add just a little bit of bling. These are some sequins I found in my stash. I think these are actually from a card kit or a paper pumpkin. But you could do rhinestones or pearls or any of these little embellishments. I think just add that little bit of extra pizzazz to it. So there's our card. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. My goal is when I do my videos that I always teach you things. So hopefully you learned how to use some scraps, a few tips for embossing and making your sandwich for that embossing folder. So again, just a reminder, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator who sent you the new catalog already, I would love to send you one. Hop over to the website to request it. I have them in the house. I can pop it in the mail the next day to you. And as always, I'm here to help you in any way that I can. Let me know if you have any questions about Stampin' Up! Products or about any of the cards that I share with you guys. So until I stamp with you again, have a stamp happy day.